Well, Amanda and Brent, tomorrow is a big day. Those individuals here in Connecticut between the ages of 45 to 54 will be able to schedule a COVID-19 vaccine, and capacity limits at a number of businesses throughout the state, they will also be lifted. Although I do want to say that social distancing and mask wearing will still all be required. Now, Governor Lamont kicking off his press conference earlier today with a vaccine update. 62% of those 55 and older in the state have received at least their first vaccine, and 33% of all adults 16 and older have received their first vaccine. Now, the governor says we are on track in terms of vaccine supply to be ready for the big day, April 5th, when everyone over the age of 16 in Connecticut will be able to schedule an appointment. Tomorrow, capacity limits will be lifted at restaurants, gyms, hair salons, retail stores, houses of worship, and the current travel mandate requiring 14-day quarantine, that turns into an advisory tomorrow. Bars will remain closed, though, and capacity limits at movie theaters will also continue.
Tomorrow is a big day, and I want you to make sure that while we're opening, keep your caution, pop your head in, make sure that restaurant is maintaining the protocols so you feel comfortable going back indoors. Movie theaters and performing arts, keeping them at 50% capacity for a little bit longer, just because they tend to be a bigger crowd. In movie theaters, maybe you're eating and sitting in close proximity to somebody for maybe 2 hours at a time. Other things when it comes to reopening tomorrow, just as a reminder, we've been through this before with David Lamont. Indoor private parties, 25 people, up from 10. Still be careful. Obviously, if you're with people who have been vaccinated.
And once again tomorrow, those individuals between the ages of 45 to 54 will be able to schedule a vaccine appointment. Now, the state tells us that that group represents about 477,000 people in the state of Connecticut, but remind us as well that 90,000 people out of that group have already been vaccinated. So they're only estimating about 200,000 individuals will be online tomorrow looking to schedule a COVID-19 appointment. For now, we're live at the state capitol in Hartford. Zinnia Maldonado, Fox 61 News.
Zinnia, thanks.